There's also some things that we don't really see on the food label that are important, like antioxidants and phytochemicals. Those are plant compounds that have been shown to be really beneficial to heart health and disease risk and things like that.
You may remember in 2013, a very popular meal replacement was all the rage and gained notoriety when its inventor lived on nothing but this meal replacement. Soylent, the product is Soylent. He lived on nothing but Soylent for a full month. And then the month after that, he lived on 92% Soylent and said he felt great. Nowadays though, Soylent doesn't really take this angle that it can replace all of your food. Rather, they say it should be something healthy, easy, and affordable. And then there's a disclaimer now on all of their products that says, Soylent is not intended to replace every meal, but it can replace any meal. And that's sort of the angle we take towards meal replacements here at Barbend. They can be a perfectly useful, although not perpetual, replacement for a meal. I'm Nick, by the way. I do the nutrition stuff here at Barbend, and that woman you saw earlier was the brilliant registered dietitian Natalie Rizzo, who isn't that crazy about the idea of replacing your food with shakes.
I think I have seen a study or two on satiety and hunger, and I think they were comparing people eating food as compared to drinking a smoothie, and they found that people who actually have to chew the food feel fuller after than drinking, and they could have the same nutrients.
That study was published in Hormone and Metabolic Research in 2007, and it did indeed find that even if the calories and macros are the same, the body has different hunger responses to liquid food versus solid food, like with regard to appetite-related hormones like ghrelin. The study actually concluded they led to differential appetitive responses and should not be viewed as dietary equivalents in older adults. The participants in that study were in their 60s. And okay, that's a very well-designed study, and it makes sense that liquid would not be as satiating as solid food. But I mean, show me any study, I can always find one that said the complete opposite. Here are 1, 2, and 3 that say that meal replacement shakes can be very useful for producing significant weight loss and helping to manage blood sugar. Now, this is not medical advice, I'm not a doctor. Make absolutely certain that you speak to your physician if you're going to start something like meal replacement shakes, especially if you have diabetes, even if you don't. But what I'm trying to get at here is, what if you don't really struggle with your appetite? Or what if you're not trying to lose weight? Or what if you take something like psyllium husk to help to improve your satiety on very low calories, something like that? What if you just live on meal replacements for a while? I mean, look, my favorite meal replacement is actually Huel. They're not sponsoring this video at all, so you can just take whatever meal replacement you want. But Huel, I really like it, man. It's empty right now because I've used it all up during this lockdowny kind of period. But I mean, it has 28 vitamins and minerals. It's got a lot of them like chloride, choline, that kind of stuff. Sorts of stuff that you're not likely to get in an actual meal that you make. Let's be honest, you're never gonna make an actual meal with real food that's gonna have all 28 vitamins and minerals, all in really good amounts. So what if I just live on this shake for a while?
I think that there's some things you're gonna miss out on. There's also some things that we don't really see on the food label that are important, like antioxidants and phytochemicals. Those are plant compounds that have been shown to be really beneficial to heart health and disease risk and things like that.
Okay, but vitamins and minerals are all the government says that you need in your diet.
Essentially every single fruit, vegetable, whole grains, beans, legumes, most plant-based foods have antioxidants and things called phytochemicals and phytonutrients in them, and they're compounds that they've found in these plant-based foods. There's all different kinds of them. There's thousands of them. There's the ones that we kind of know a lot about are flavonoids, which are in usually the darker color foods, resveratrol, which is in red wine, and those kind of reddish color foods.
Other good examples include indole-3 carbinol, which might help to balance your estrogen, and glucosinolates, which have antiviral and antibacterial properties. And these are just found in broccoli, right? There are tons and tons of these sorts of compounds out there that are very, very healthful, but aren't technically vitamins and minerals, but they're very good to add into your diet, and they're very unlikely to be added to meal replacement shakes. And that's not even getting into the whole area of antioxidants, which have big impacts or big potential impacts on your inflammation.
And inflammation comes in two different forms. So there's acute inflammation, which is short-term, which is something you get basically after a workout, which your body will naturally just repair itself with that. But then there's long-term inflammation, which is associated with obesity and chronic disease. So if you have inflammation built up in your body for a long period of time, you have a higher risk of developing these diseases. And they found that people who eat more antioxidant-rich foods and foods with phytochemicals in them have a lesser chance, or they're less association of developing these diseases. So those things are not on any food labels. They're very hard to measure.
Now, you live without these things, probably. Like, you probably know people who live without having any fruits or vegetables at all, or like once a week or every other day. Like, you'll probably survive. But things are probably going to go a lot better for you health-wise if you're ensuring that you not only get all your vitamins and minerals, but also get all these other sorts of ingredients you're going to find in plants, these phytonutrients like indole-3 carbinol and so on. These powerful antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, and then other compounds, like I mentioned, that help to balance estrogen potentially. And there's other things that you're going to find in food besides these compounds. Stuff like digestive enzymes like proteases, amylases, lipases, which are usually found in food. They're sometimes added to meal replacement shakes, but not always and not often. And they help you to break down your food more effectively, like get the most out of your calories.
And also for those things that aren't necessarily in the dietary recommendations, so they don't have to hit a percentage per day, they may not even check the amount that's in there. They may just say it's in there. Kind of hard to know.
So you kind of just have to eat food. Now, I mean, that sounds like medical advice and it's not, but I mean, come on, man, like you should be eating food. Meal replacement shakes are totally fine to have now and then though, and if you're going to take one, make sure it has plenty of calories, enough calories to replace a meal. There are a lot of 90-calorie meal replacement shakes out there. That's not a meal. No one's eating a 90-calorie meal, right? B, make sure it has a good balance of protein, carbohydrates, and fat. A lot of them are just like particularly nutritious protein shakes, right? It's not actually going to have protein and carbs and fiber and fat to fill you up. Speaking of which, number 3, it's a good idea if you look for one that has some ingredients for digestive health. Fiber is a really obvious one here, but there's also prebiotic fiber, there's also probiotic bacteria, there are digestive enzymes. There are some meal replacement shakes out there, Ample is a good example of one, that have all of these in them and have a big emphasis on helping improve your gut health as well. D, you want to make sure, at least ideally in a perfect world, you want to make sure it's not too high in omega-6 fatty acids. We have a good balance of omega-3 to omega-6. Ample is also a good example of that, Huel as well. A lot of omega-6 fatty acids, like if your fat in your meal replacement shake is coming from canola oil, for example, a lot of omega-6 in your diet may not be ideal for inflammation. E, make sure you're getting plenty of whole foods, right? Like, ideally, you want to get at least a big serving of cruciferous vegetables every day. That's like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, spinach, that family of veggies. They're unbelievably nutrient dense and linked to just about every health benefit under the sun. So ideally, you're going to get most of your nutrients from whole foods. Actually, ideally, you're going to get all of your nutrients from whole foods. But sometimes you get busy. I get it, man. I totally get it. That's why I have a Huel several times a week. I get a 500-calorie shake of this pretty much every other day. But I always make sure I have some fruits or veggies with it, which could potentially help to improve nutrient absorption. And most importantly, I eat lots and lots of real food for the rest of the day.